are still needing to do that, but more than ever now, we can create very similar quality without having all that headache in a very, very short amount of time. So traditionally, photo shoots required significant investment in coordinating studios and models and props, managing schedules and logistics, paying for photographers, and doing all kinds of editing, and then weeks of back and forth between all the people involved before we actually have usable content. So that's obviously very expensive, time consuming, and inflexible. And now with AI, we have the ability to take one clean product photo, upload it into an AI platform like Gemini. That's the one that we'll be talking about today. That's the one that we use because we have Google Workspace and Gemini is integrated, so we like it. But there's many models, and we're not, married to that one forever. Maybe there'll be something better that comes in the future. That's what we use now. And you can generate lifestyle images in minutes and extend that into short video clips for social media or product detail pages. So you end up with professional quality content without any of the overhead. What you need to begin is really just a product photo. So you can either find something, even cut it from an existing Amazon listing or somewhere on the web, just a white background product photo shot. This was originally a 3D render we got made. This is for one of my brands. We got this made years back. This is literally the mouse that I'm holding in my right hand right now. And I just took this photo with a camera phone. And yeah, Gemini is the core tool that we use. So it can handle image generation from a reference photo, produce consistent looks across a catalog when it's given the correct cues for branding, and support the creation of short motion assets like zooms or pans or variants in scenes. And not a lot of technical expertise is needed. That's a huge thing where there's no huge barrier knowing Photoshop and all these video editing tools. The process is pretty straightforward, similar to vibe coding, if you're familiar with that. So the process step by step is basically you capture one clean product image shot. You specify some of the scene intent, like modern kitchen or natural daylight or marble background. You provide the color palettes, mood words, styling constraints, and angles. You can even upload a brand guideline if you wanted to. You generate multiple scene candidates, and you avoid over engineering the prompt. And then you request small adjustments with camera height, depth, and props. And then you render to the required size ratio for PDP, A+, storefront, and advertising. So example number one is a natural shampoo. This is our product. And we found this method product. They probably got a real photo shoot done. This looks great. And we just basically combined this together. And we said, hey, match this look, handheld bottle, soft gradient background, natural shadow. And this is what we got in the end. And so you can see that the lighting and the gradient in the back looks very similar. There's also a shadow on the left-hand side with a hand. These are amazing photos. The only problem is the label. So this is something that currently, as I'm speaking at the end of 2025, labels don't always come out so good. I'm sure this will get resolved over time as everything. But right now, what we've done is Photoshop. We got this photo. This is already 90% of the job is just getting the actual photo done. And then we go in and we make final adjustments. So this is very clear. And then we can use this on content where people can actually zoom in and see the real label that we're actually selling. So example number two is a computer mouse. Like I said, this is the one I have in my hand. We just uploaded this photo taken by a camera, and we used AI to generate the same product on a white background without the logo. I could potentially, if you wanted to have the logo there, you could just have this a Logitech mouse. So you just put the Logitech logo and it can place it for you. And then we asked it to create a lifestyle image, which this came out. And then I said, hey, take this image and turn it into a video. I used another tool within Gemini, and this is what I got. So, this is not perfect. I didn't work at all on what shows up on the screen or the precise hand motions, but this is what I got in very, very little time. You can imagine if you had someone dedicated to this, they can probably get a video made with precision to have whatever you could have your Amazon listing on the computer, whatever you want. This is a client of ours. They sell sausages, smoked sausages. So we provide a couple versions of the product photo, just like some basic stuff that was sent over by the client. Nothing crazy here, just a picture of the product and in the packaging. And this was the output that we got. So we asked for a person holding a sausage snack stick with hiking gear in the background, some scenic mountain views, natural sunlight, authentic outdoor lifestyle photos. So this is what we got here. And then a couple other variants that we were able to use similarly in different infographics and A+ content and whatnot. So the conclusion is that AI image generation is redefining Amazon content creation and probably all content creation across the web. With just one product photo and a couple tools, the sellers can now produce a pretty unlimited range of professional imagery and video, and it's fast, cheap, and very flexible. So photo shoots are no longer a barrier to get launched or to scale on Amazon. Quick little bonus here. I think I'm pretty early on time. We're coming close to it. So here's the bonus. So we put together, like, we always had an issue in our organization where, you know, we run a hybrid team and it's across different countries, and we don't have a dedicated office place where we can get everyone together or fly everyone together. It's very expensive to do a photo shoot. So, you know, we have a lack of consistency across the photos in our organization. So we said, okay, how can we use AI to standardize it? And so we used AI, the same type of setup that I'm, you know, talking about here. And we were experimenting with a different range of styles. And so you can do the same from modern portraits to playful illustrations and keep the branding kind of cohesive across. So you see everybody's roughly looking the same with the same, you know, style. And we're still trying to figure out, you know, is this professional or not? Should we post it on our website? That's to be determined. So this is still just like, you know, experiment phase for us, but I'm liking it. I think it's pretty cool. Thanks. That's the end. Feel free to scan this QR code if you want to book a call with me. We're experimenting with opening a few spots to some brands who are looking for a good partner to help them grow on Amazon. And we're offering, in some cases, if there's some, you know, rules to it, but we can potentially offer a 6-month money-back guarantee for brands that qualify. So I'll leave this QR code here for one more second. You can book a call, or you can just email me at pasha@amzoptimized.com. Thanks. All right. That's me. So next is Drew. You're up.
Amazing, Pasha. That was great. I hear you on the team photos. Like, that's something that we've struggled with as well. And I kind of like the illustrated look. I feel like I look better illustrated. I don't really know. So I think it's very professional. I think it's creative. And it's the little things that just make that branding cohesive by being able to have everybody's headshots looking the same. So super cool. But I'm going to jump right in because I have a little bit to go over. Let's see. Maybe window here, Chrome tab.
Scott, looks like we got you. Can you hear us?
Yep, awesome. I can hear you.
Okay, so I think it's pulling over to my other one. Let me see real quick, guys. I think I got it. I told you I wouldn't be a pro here, so. Okay. Is this
there we go.
Amazing. Is it big enough for you guys?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go quick. We'll open it up for Q&A at the end. I have like a little bit of a download, but you guys have heard me before. I always try to bring something new. So if you've heard me before, I'm not doing the same thing. And this was no different. Trying to find a way that I've been utilizing AI for my go-to-market presentations when I'm evaluating a brand or auditing a brand, or even looking at what we could be doing better on a listing. And so whatever level you're at, I think beginner level seller on Amazon to someone that's been doing this a very long time, I think there's some useful stuff in here. So, you know, you've seen all the presentations of like cross-referencing in Excel, like, you know, doing all these different types of filters and pivot tables to find the right thing. Well, it's just getting so much easier with AI, and that's really what I want to show. Let's jump in. So I call it the optimization gap, which is like most sellers are, they set up their SEO a year ago, 2 years ago, and they leave it. They haven't checked to see like, hey, has my niche or my category evolved? Oftentimes I'll be selling a product, come back a year later, really do a deep dive, and you see that there's 10 other ways that people are describing the product, or some other long tail type of things happening. So every gap in your listing and your product means an opportunity. So whether that's converting keywords missing, we find that in PPC keywords are converting, but they're not in the listing. We see competitors ranking for terms that no one's going after. We see that like the content and then the keywords we're going after don't match up. There's no cohesiveness there. We see Rufus asking questions that the content can't answer, and you see those kind of blank. These are all little things that could be optimized a little bit better. We did a project on a pet supplement brand recently. This is one I've been working on. And we found 47 converting search terms in PPC that like weren't in the listing. Now we can't put in all 47, but these were 47 strong keywords that were nowhere in the listing. So by putting them in images and titles and bullet points and including them, we saw a lot of upside. So where are the sources that people miss the most? I think you have PPC. So you have your own PPC. So if you haven't ran PPC, obviously you can't do that. But if you've been running PPC, you have your own. You have a competitor analysis. Think like reverse ASIN lookups and those kinds of things. You have like visual search behavior, like what people are actually typing in versus the product that you're selling. Sometimes you have a category where you can't say all of the terms and the things that you're selling. And then like Rufus AI questions. So the keyword intelligence system is like, for me, that's like, where can I get all of this data? How can I validate it from what I'm doing or what I want to do or where I'm currently at? And then how do I align that where I get everything working together? And this can take like a little bit of time to set up, but once it's done, it can save you hours and hours and hours. So what I've done is, and there can be, have an open mind in regards to where you're getting your data, because you can get it from different spots. But what I do is I pull the Amazon PPC search report. I do a reverse ASIN lookup I use Helium 10, and I use Smart Scout to look at a category or a subcategory and then pull that category search terms. It's a powerful tool. You can also go down to like the individual ASIN and pull tools like that. I also personally have a bot that I've built, a Chrome extension that scrapes reviews, and also can scrape Rufus. So I take those 5 data points, and I feed those. I use Claude. I don't know what people are using for their GPTs. I think all of them can work if you're kind of tailoring them the right way. But I grab all of that data and I feed it to a tool like Claude. So, we're talking about thousands of lines of data, from the PPC data to the search term data in the category. And I actually have 11 prompts, but I'm going to put 3 of them here to kind of show you how these can work for you. So analyze my search term report, identify converting keywords, 3+ orders not in my listing, show ACoS impact of adding each. This brings the exact keywords already proven to convert that you might be missing. Another one is a gap analysis. Compare target keywords against my current listing, show missing placement over optimization and specific placement recommendations. It shows like where you could be putting them. And then image mapping, map my top keywords to my 7 image stack. Okay, so in each of these cases, I've downloaded my 7 images off of my listing or even a competitor's listing, and I'm saying, hey, you've done all this keyword research for my top keywords. Are these in my content? Am I missing a placement with these top converting terms in my PPC? Could they be somewhere in my listing? Those are 3 different ways that, like, by gathering that data and then positioning it to say, hey, check out my listing and what do you think? Where am I missing the gap? So, one of the things that I think is unique to bring to the table is really thinking about your images, your content story, and thinking about, do I have a main keyword in each image that's important to my ranking? So, traditional approach, beautiful lifestyle photography, looks beautiful, leak-proof water bottle, artistic sunset with someone holding the bottle, and it's like implying that they're out like on a hike at a beautiful sunset and need a drink of water. It's not really like saying that it's leak proof, but somehow that's in the title, and that's important. A keyword driven approach, as an example, is images that are validating the search terms. So someone types in a search term, they're thinking this, and then they see a picture that validates kind of what they're looking at. So think of it like for the same thing with the leak-proof water bottle, like an upside down demonstration with 0 leak call out. Having the keyword you want, showing it in the image that's what you're doing, instead of just a random lifestyle image that doesn't go with it. You're going to improve click-through rate drastically. So kind of explaining what that is like main image, image 2, validate specification keywords, images 4 and 5, badges, call out certifications. Every time you're taking kind of that keyword data that we dumped and then posing it by your images. So I have these exact prompts on what to run, but you're essentially seeing if there's any gaps between the keywords that we think are important, the keywords that are converting, the keywords that are doing well for our listing, and our images and our content. Okay, so think of it like this, like Amazon's like Rufus, like an actual question example is, will this fit in the Tesla cup holder? That means that you need size clarity. Can it go in a dishwasher? Durability keyword is missing from the listing. Is the lid really leak proof? Trust signal and proof required. So those are the questions being asked by Rufus. Your images need to reflect that there's durability for it to be dishwasher proof, right? If you don't have that in your images, then the keyword Rufus comes back with a no. That essentially makes you not rank as well for the keywords that you're going after. So thinking about optimization is not just like, let me do keywords to launch this product. It's also thinking about just like what actually drives conversion, what's done well in PPC, what are competitors using that we're not, and applying that to what you're doing on Amazon. So this is an example again. The water bottle example was 32-ounce leak-proof bottle, 12 conversions, but it's nowhere in the title. Gym water bottle, BPA, 8 conversions, not there at all. Dishwasher safe. High search volume, we don't have it anywhere in the listing. So we made changes. We added 32-ounce leak proof. We added a bullet point of dishwasher safe, image 3, leak proof demonstration, image 5, gym context, shot validating use case keyword. So by finding the gaps, I'm like, okay, let me go create content like Pasha just showed, where you can create images quick with AI. Let me go create content that reflects the keywords that are actually driving sales for my product. I think people want certain keywords to drive sales. When you actually do an analysis, you see that there's quite a few other keywords driving the sales, and those are gaps that you can find, to get more sales and conversion. So like, I like to show visuals around like just to help you understand what I'm saying. So path one traditional approach, like manual spreadsheet analysis, doing keyword research, putting it in a spreadsheet, looking at your PPC. You're guessing or making assumptions around what keywords you think are important. Images, to me, feel random. I know people aren't choosing them at random, but if you actually think about a story top to bottom, they feel very random. Most people optimize one time, move on. And you see the product slowly decline over time because other people are doing all of the optimization, continuing to come back and look at keywords in PPC and make changes. So what does that look like with AI? Strategically, having your visuals make sense, constantly coming back monthly and checking where your competitors are ranking versus where you are. Clear ACoS impact because you're going after keywords that are actually driving conversions instead of just randomly choosing. So think of it like extracting the keywords, analyzing them, putting them all in together, and having a good prompt. Now, with the prompts that come back and the feedback that comes back, optimizing your product listings, and then getting all of that to align, and you'll see that it's evolved. This is what AI and Rufus really means when they're saying, how do you optimize for Rufus? How do you optimize for the search algorithm now that it's changing and the images matter? It's combining and making all of that really work together. It's having strategy, not having images here and bullet points here and a title here and PPC that aren't all working together. I think that's the biggest thing that I see is PPC doing its own thing, content doing their own thing, and the SEO and the product doing its own thing. And none of the teams are working together to say, hey, this is what I'm finding in PPC, passing that to the content team then implementing that into their listing, to get the best results. If you already have PPC data, that is absolute gold. In some cases, the PPC can be great. It's just that the content is missing the mark. It's driving the right traffic. It's relevant traffic. We're getting high click-through rates. We're getting good traffic, but it's not converting. That's where there's a misalignment, and it doesn't have anything to do with your PPC or your price point. It has to do with your content. So that's it. I went as fast as I could. It was like really fast, but this is I'm going to drop this link. It's a Google Doc link. It has like all of the prompts that I'm using with Claude against my keyword data. So I showed you like 3 of them, but there's 11 in there that can all kind of give you different outputs. Just for context, like what I do with the listing I want to check is I create a Word doc, a Google Doc. I put my title in there, my bullet points, my price point, any other details I want to share about context about the product. And having it in that Word doc makes it a little easier to drop it into my Claude or my Chat GPT as a framework to say, if you make it go out to Amazon and grab the data, it's not as good as having that in a Google Doc that it can reference a little bit faster. So that's kind of a little tip. Yeah, hopefully you guys can find some wins. I think the prompts make it super easy for anyone that's even a beginner to try this out on their listing and see what kind of gaps and opportunities they find.
Awesome. That's time. Cool. Thanks, Drew.
You're welcome.
That was great.
Yeah.
Zach, you're up.
Hey, thanks everybody. Yeah, Drew, that was great rundown. Also, Pasha, what you showed, I thought that was really impressive. It's cool to see these things happening. My lens on this is a little bit different. I think for everybody here, I'm going to add a little bit more of like the why. Like, why is this urgent? Why does this have to happen right now? And the specific takeaways, though, that you're going to hear from everybody else, I think are really crucial. So really, kudos to the fellow presenters here for everything they've pulled together. Here, I'm going to go ahead and share this screen here. All right. So for some background and context on me, my company, Sigil, we're working to make e-commerce honest. So we focus a lot on the health of the e-commerce ecosystem, how sellers and brands, et cetera, interact on e-commerce. And so we are tangentially related to supporting sales and growth on the marketplaces. But we work with a lot of sellers and brands, and it's in our best interest to understand what works and make sure that we are staying on top of trends and really promoting, understanding how our community and sellers are growing. So that's where, as I provide this insight and research, this is based off of my conversations with brands and with sellers and, and research and kind of trends that we've been paying attention to for a while here. So brief background on me. I'm actually an attorney. I was at a top 10 global firm, and then I was in-house at as a general counsel for a global brand, and understand kind of the legal elements of e-commerce and e-commerce law very well. It's sort of my area of expertise. I became a beta test attorney for Amazon. I have helped them develop several of the programs that are now in brand registry. And so that's my background coming into this. And so you'll see I have a bit of a lens here of what are the risks around kind of the adoption of AI. But yeah, let me get into this. So we've been watching how AI has impacted overall trends in e-commerce for a while. It's been pretty interesting to see. And, this, like I said, this gets into the, why does this matter now? Why do sellers really, why is this so timely? And I think, kudos to everybody here paying attention to this trend, because we have definitely hit that inflection point. So I like to look at a few different data sources to sort of understand what is the trend here, right? Like understanding how AI is impacting consumer behavior is, it's difficult to see because there's not, GPT doesn't publish all that data very often, right? Occasionally we'll get Anthropic will report out use cases around it, right? But we don't have a lot of clear data into it. And so we have to kind of draw conclusions where we get the data. And there's web traffic data, there's survey responses. So I've sort of combined them here to give a sense of, okay, how are consumers using AI in e-commerce? Does this matter? Is this trend happening? So that we can then answer the question, okay, great. What do we do? Where do we go from here? So you can see the trend is pretty clear. What this chart shows is the percentage growth year over year over time of web traffic being generated by AI towards e-commerce sites, right? So at the end of 2024 is when things started to really peak and pick up, right? I mean, you see that bump from holiday season, but it stayed consistent, like pretty level coming off of that. So this was over 1,000% year over year increased web traffic. And then by April this year, it blew up to over 3,000% year over year web traffic. In the summer, right, we're getting closer over, I think it was 47,000% year over year increase in web traffic driven by the AI tools. So it is rapidly climbing as the source of web traffic. So you're seeing that is driven by consumers who are searching for products using the AI tools and the AI engines. Like that is what's driving that traffic. And if you look at the survey data, when I ran reports on survey data at the beginning of this year, it was only 15% of all consumers were using AI to search for products and e-commerce decisions. That is now up to 39% from the survey data. And for Gen Z, right, it's even higher. It's over 50%. So keep that in mind, depending on what products or what market what products you're selling and what market you're serving, right? This could have an even higher impact for you. But pretty clearly, massive shift in consumer behavior towards using AI to search for the products that they're looking for. This has some interesting downsides, right? In that AI is very context-driven and is trying to find and get answers for the users based on what they are looking for. So if you put it into search, it's going to try to help find for you the best product to meet those parameters that you search for. Oftentimes, it's going to try to find for you the best price, et cetera. But it's trying to predict what you're looking for. It is not necessarily going out and grabbing the most accurate data that's there, right? That's why we still have hallucination problems with the searches. So as a result, unfortunately, the AI systems right now are not very good at differentiating counterfeit or fraudulent sellers off of the legitimate sellers out there. And so 28% of people have reported buying counterfeits on accident that they've found when they're searching through AI. Now, this is something obviously we at Sigil are paying attention to and hope to have an impact on in the future, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. If anyone has questions or concerns about these areas, how to deal with counterfeits, how to address fakes and fraudulent issues, how to deal with reviews and things or false reviews, any of those issues, like please reach out to me and we can handle that, sort of off call. But I want to spend today focused more in line of, okay, knowing that these risks are out there and the change in trends and behavior, what are some of the things that we should be doing to kind of get ready for and capitalize on this opportunity? So I've got a couple different strategic recommendations here. And what's interesting is it really follows what Drew said about images very closely and about the context that you're doing. So the specific strategies that were just laid out, I think it was just fascinating for me sitting here and watch this. And I'm oh yeah, great. What a perfect solve for these recommendations. So the idea is you've got to be optimizing your product content. And the next slide we'll get into it is your image content around how AI is looking to answer these questions, right? And how the Rufus examples that we saw earlier are really good examples where it's trying to answer questions for consumers based on the context of what they're looking for, not necessarily scraping and one-to-one matching or keyword matching to very specific searches anymore. And so having additional explainers in your content to kind of match that becomes really important, right? And so now, like I said, I'm not a specific expert in this space. I think, Pasha, Drew, the other guests here, I think are the resources you should go to for the specifics. But as you see, conceptually, what you're trying to do here is work into your descriptions answers to the questions that consumers are putting into Rufus or searching for AI, right? And it tends to be a lot more solution-oriented language, issues around pain points and use cases and attributes, right? It's I think one of the examples from Drew before was, is it dishwasher safe, right? And so, yeah, that is a solution-oriented, specific use case. I don't want this thing if I can't throw it in the dishwasher, right? Making sure that for your specific products, you understand what your consumers are asking and looking for, and then working those into your descriptions, your bullet points, hitting them on FAQ sections, all of that added context that AI is trying to pull for. And then the image thing is also, I think this is like a really sweet like level up for brands from people I've talked to, is Rufus is now ingesting the image data, and that's the file name and the metadata and the alt text, and it's also the images itself, right? AI is getting better and better at just the image reading and recognition. So really would echo the importance there of making sure your images are supporting some of these major questions and keywords that you're trying to target, right? So that you can convey those use cases. That's going to really give you an edge in trying to like show up in the answers when those questions are being put out to Rufus. The last thing I will say is just for kind of different styles of sellers out there, right? Leaning into your advantages in this time, right? So if you are a big and established brand, you've got a really recognizable brand, that's going to be a massive advantage because the AI is going to be like very well trained on all of your content and information in there. And so you want to lean on that brand recognition. If you don't have an established brand, if you're trying to build and work your way up, then the way you win is going to be differentiating on those like use cases and solution content so that you are showing up better in those researches, in those answers, right? Established brands are going to be focusing on their brand advantage. So it leaves a space for you to focus on your, AI optimization and those use cases and those solutions. So those are some of the recommendations that we're seeing with, kind of the trends in AI. If anyone has questions around how to make e-commerce honest, like looking forward to connecting after this. And yeah, I'll make sure I want to give enough time to the other talented presenters here.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. That was great. Alex, how are you doing?
Perfect. I'm good. Thank you very much, Pasha. How are you?
Very good. Excited to hear you.
Cool. Okay. So I tend to normally have presentations ready and everything, but I thought we're going to do it a different way today. So I thought we're probably going to make it a bit more interactive. So I'm going to guide people through how we normally take a process from pre-launch, during launch, and post-launch of an Amazon product. Whether it's for helping R&D of our clients, whether we are launching a new product, or whether an existing one. So I want to make it more interactive. If anyone has any suggestions of products they want me to look up and go live on Amazon, feel free to do so, and I'll do it. I'll do the presentation basically live. So any suggestions of a product? Anyone bought anything recently from Amazon, or anyone feel free to put in the comments. Otherwise, I'll just gonna take a random one here. Nope.
Toaster.
A toaster. Gotcha. So let's go. So something like this, right? Perfect. So, okay, great. You want to go into electronics. You don't want to make it easy on yourself. You want returns and quality control, and maybe there's issues on the manufacturing side, but let's go. Perfect. Okay, awesome. So let's say that Pasha here wants to launch a new toaster on Amazon. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about is obviously not a tactic that I recommend on new Amazon sellers, but more on mature brands and people who have quite a bit of experience. So first things first, what do we want to do? Well, in the old days, you would say, I think this toaster looks good, or I find it on Alibaba, or I find it on, I don't know, Canton Fair, or a supplier convinces me, whatever. And then I'm like, well, okay, I see the quality. I think it's good. I think people will like it. Basically, that's what we said. I think people will like it. So therefore, you go for low MOQ, you try and resell it, all of that stuff. 8 years ago, it used to work. If you're an Amazon seller and started selling 8 years ago, I was happy days. Now it's a bit more difficult because a lot of those sellers actually themselves, or in China or other manufacturing places, they already sell on Amazon, and also makes life a bit more difficult. So how can you go about it? Well, first thing you can do, okay, is actually start analyzing the reviews of all these sellers, closely aligning a bit more to the toaster you want to go with. So you want to go for something which is value for money or more design. So let's say you run your classic X-ray or whatever tool of your choice you like, you find one of the top 10 sellers, then you start downloading the reviews. It used to be a bit easier in the past. Now it's a bit more hard to do so, but you can still do it. And then you can start analyzing those reviews. You can understand what people like from toasters, what people don't like from toasters, where do they use them, what's the customer avatars of these toasters, if there's any emotional connection. So, for example, between the pain points and what people use it. So, for example, never have a burned toast again, for example, could be one. No scrappy cleaning after 1 year, for example. So we've all used toasters. We know how great they are at the beginning, and then after a year or two, there's the common issues, right? So again, instead of us thinking about these, this is all data that is hidden in reviews. And this is where I want to bring a topic of AI is amazing when you give it data and when that data is verified. So you really want to try and validate that data and give it to it, as opposed to asking it to make up something for you. So when you feed it real customer reviews, and we know how much data is in customer reviews. I mean, look at this. This toaster has 38,000 reviews, right? So you can actually get a lot of insight from this. So you analyze this, you analyze the reviews, you analyze and start playing with a bit with personas and emotional connections and avatars. Now, I don't want to give people scripts. AI is amazing, and people should all learn how to use it, and we're all learning how to use it. So feel free to ask it any questions you feel like it, to start getting some of this. Then you move into the realm of what a few of the speakers really touched upon, and especially you as well, Pasha, on the AI videos and lifestyle imagery. So now it's very easy to create those images, benefits, features, how to use, why us, lifestyle, all of those things on a kitchen counter, on the country house, on your Airbnb, etc., right? So how this fits into different counters and so on. So that's something that's very, very powerful use of AI. And then one more very important thing is, again, a thing that was touched upon by Andrew and Zach as well, is how Rufus and Cosmos, so the AI searches of Amazon, this little button here, which more often, more and more people are using it nowadays, especially on like Black Friday, Prime Day, Christmas. I want to buy a present for my boyfriend. He is a snowboard instructor. What's a good present for him, for example? And so people ask AI to give real recommendations on purchases. Now, a very important competitive advantage is, in the past, you might have had difficulty reaching the top 10, for example, because the keywords and the PPC budget and the indexing, etc., was a bit harder. Now the keywords is completely changed. The way that keywords are being actually indexed on Amazon is very, very different to what it used to be in the past. Yes, you still need to do some of the base tactics of the past, but you really want to take into consideration this sort of stuff as well. What are people asking about this product? What are they saying down here about this product? Where are you? There's another section here. There you go. What are people asking about it? What are they asking in the top 10? Is your imagery including those? Is your listing including those? Can you create a video to touch upon these, for example, with AI? Those are some very, very important things that, again, that you can do while you launch to improve your launch strategy and success on Amazon. But then it doesn't stop there. We see a lot of brands which have done the set and forget strategy. Again, something discussed upon on this call today. You want to be re-optimizing these every 3 months, really. So you want to see what keywords work, what don't, on PPC, on SQP, and so on, and making sure you update your listings accordingly. I know this sounds a lot of work, and it is. That's why people either hire like VAs if they're like small sellers, etc., or use an agency if they are bigger size sellers that need the whole range of design, PPC, DSP, keyword, catalog appeals, etc., which is obviously things that we do here at Lazat. We cover the A to Z of all this stuff. But the final thing I want to touch upon is this guy's, for example, okay, so this specific example I have is a toaster from Amazon. But again, these guys here, potentially they might have had this toaster. Well, this is not a good example. I'm doing this live, so bear with me. But let's go with a more mature example. So let's go with this. So these guys, for example, might be selling this toaster for a very long time. It says 3 years here. Okay, maybe it's not too much for a toaster, but maybe they were doing it, let's say, for 5 or 8. They want to introduce a new version of their toaster. So this is what I touched upon at the beginning of analyzing the reviews of your competitors and market. You can actually do it on your own listings. So if you're a brand leader, a category leader, okay, and you're thinking, what does my product line look like in the next 3 years? To take into consideration some key industry trends: sustainability, less water usage, less electricity usage, safer, less plastic, etc., how can I use key data from real customers of my products to fuel this R&D growth for the next versions of the products that I want to launch. So again, it's another use case. So I'm touching on a lot of things that there is on Amazon. There's obviously a lot more of these that you can do on Amazon, but I believe there's still a great area to explore with AI, and taking it as a bonus, because I saw a lot of people were actually offering bonus advice here and so on. Here's another thing to mention. So you can actually take a screenshot of your top 100 products in a niche, and then actually ask Amazon to say, what do you see works well in USA? What do you see works well in UK? Visually, right? What are these top 100 sellers actually have on their main image? And then you can see some patterns here. For example, in USA, they like the made in USA. In UK, they like made in UK. Well, obviously, okay. Some other things is, some they like limited ingredients or limited time offer or natural ingredients and so on. And based on this, you can actually even create a basis of a brand palette. Now, this is saving your design hours and hours of work. This goes again into, you've got a company that wants potential to launch a new brand or a new completely line of products and so on. How do you accelerate this on Amazon? How do you take the path of least resistance, because you can get some data from Amazon and other sellers? Hope people found this useful. If there's any questions or anything like that, feel free to contact me on LinkedIn, Alex Karagiannis, or alex@lazada.co.uk. And I hope someone learned 1% more than what they did before from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Awesome. Scott, you're up.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Really interesting. Appreciating listening to all the different topics everyone's covering. I don't have any slides. I'm just going to talk the way I usually do. I also take a different focus on e-commerce. I'm focused very much on the entrepreneurs and founders and the businesses themselves. So, and how are we leveraging, how is AI oozing, or specifically in specific ways, working its way into the businesses themselves? Because there are so many challenges to e-commerce businesses, from tariffs and supply chain and technology changes. How do these founders stay on top of things and stay competitive when there are so many opportunities, but so many challenges? I really focus on the fact that in many cases, having worked with e-commerce businesses pretty actively for the last 15 years, many of the entrepreneurs are accidental entrepreneurs. Okay, they were in sales, they were working a job they didn't like, they didn't want to have a boss anymore, they wanted to be their own boss. And how could they pivot over? And they, haven't run a P&L, they weren't in a position to really understand these businesses. How can they leverage AI to be more effective when they don't have an MBA, which is a pro and a con, depending on your perspective, to leverage all these things so that they're focused on having better businesses, and that you can focus on the marketing and AI leverage specific from, Drew or Alex, or being able to take a step back and looking at the bigger picture issues from fraud and other products that Zach brought up. And what I focus on, a lot of these people end up reinventing the wheel. And you don't have to. There are great services, technology, and how to leverage those things. I really focus on helping entrepreneurs so you're not your worst boss ever, where you force yourself to work 80 to 100 hours a week. And how can you leverage this technology so that you can spend more time working on your business or outside of your business and leverage those things and working on those things. And AI can really help in a range of ways. The first thing is just founders today. You don't need an MBA. You don't need a lot of these services. You really can look to AI, whichever model you prefer, focus on it and start building, whether a GPT or a GEM or whatever else, to be the advisors, to coach you through those things so that you can get smart on things. Now, you do want to put a prompt in there. At what point should I be asking for external expertise? The other key point that I end up seeing beyond AI is a lot of these entrepreneurs are lonely, okay? As in, none of their peers, friends, are in e-commerce, which is a fairly unique world to live in around supply chain and DTC and, all the meta ads and having to worry about, things like the water level in the Panama Canal or what's going on in the Suez Canal. or the weather in the Pacific to understand how that impacts your business and which are things you have no control over. So first thing I recommend is, even if you do leverage AI, find a mastermind group, find a community that you can be part of. Going to a local, chamber of commerce can be tough because nobody in there might be selling products online or understand your business, but go find your peers. That's one of the best things you can do. There are phenomenal groups like E-Commerce Fuel and a range of others that you can join. But instead of reinventing the wheel, use AI and ask for best practice. How should I set up my accounting? Should I outsource my accounting at this time? What technology should I use? Where should I start on this? Do I need insurance? What are those things? When you have questions, you can ask AI and just add it up and set them up to say, hey, make me smarter on this. Tell me things I didn't ask about. Help tell me what are the landmines and speed bumps I should be concerned about in the business. The next thing is you can build your own advisors. Okay, I need an advisor to help me be smart on product design. I need someone to help me be smart on marketing or SEO or things along those lines to get you started. Okay, and then keep asking, at what point in time should I be outsourcing, hiring, delegating this work? One of the key things you need to do as an entrepreneur is not wear every hat. You have to wear every hat for a few minutes, but delegate those things. And this can be that advice without having to pay for a consultant like myself that helps people optimize their e-commerce businesses. Totally focused on e-commerce. I understand all the nuances and craziness, but a lot of this really applies to any CEO. You can use it to brainstorm ideas. Okay, so I'm very much a visionary and idea guy. I have a number of things where I brainstorm the ideas, okay, to get it out of my system and then go back to what should I be focusing on today, and then go back and revisit those ideas later going, how would these rank? Is this realistic? Do I have time to do this? How much investment would I need to do? So that you can look at those things. Of course, market research that's come up here, product research, looking at your competitors, all of those things is great on. Business planning. How do I put together a business plan? What do I need to do? Narrow this down. This does not need to be a 500-page document. Keep it all on one page. How can I get my business plan and my ideas on one page? Now, for a framework, which I recommend if you've gotten to 2 or 3 people, you've made it to $500,000 or so in annual revenue or much, much more, definitely look at frameworks like EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, are a key framework for people that haven't built and sold or built and crashed businesses or been in a management position. It is a framework that can significantly help you succeed. The other piece is, if people don't realize that AI engines can help you make decisions. I need to make this decision, and the ability for it to go back and challenge your thinking and ask you questions and guide you to a decision when there's no one else that's in your business that is deeply ingrained in your business as you are. Then the next level, once it's just supporting you as a founder and entrepreneur, is how do you support your team? Okay. Probably the best area would be around automation. Okay. How can you get away from have humans do smart human things instead of data entry? There's no need to. You can look at any area of your business and ask, how can I automate this? How can I stop doing data entry in 6 different places? And then leveraging tools that are no code, low code, which means you just have to ask AI, what do I do to fix this? And it'll show you tools like Zapier, Maker, N8N, which are all automation tools that allow you to link different applications, pull data from a spreadsheet and autofill it in somewhere else, pull data from somewhere else and put it all together, so that the key people in your team, you can magnify what they're doing for you. You can have them, be more productive by automating these tasks, and they oversee the work getting done. Still needs humans involved to make that move, to move forward, to grow and scale your team, where you're not like, I want to double my business, but then I have to, in the old school, you'd have to triple the number of employees. Okay. Leveraging AI in a smart way, and come back to, I don't know what to do, just ask AI. And then ask other peers that have done it, because you want to leverage people that have had experience, that have crashed their businesses, have almost gone out of business. You want to leverage both the general knowledge and AI to focus what's going on. And the other thing, don't be shy. Reach out to people like me that do podcasts and are happy to share their expertise. Reach out to people that say great things on YouTube or LinkedIn. Look through, the videos that Pasha's done and go, that person knows what's going on. In many cases, people are very busy. If you reach out to them with a clear set of questions, you're going to get an answer and probably get the final experience-based answers beyond what you've already gotten in AI. Of course, anything that's administrative, ask your team what annoys them, automate it. Okay. You'll keep them that much happier. These are simple things. Just go, what is the most annoying part of your job? Okay. Now, if it's the 500 ideas or things you as an entrepreneur change in the business every day, push that energy into AI and limit it and make one change a day or less. Okay. And then training. If you need to upskill any of your team on AI or any specific topic, it's there. If you don't know, you want to set up a GPT and set a persona for whatever you're doing. I need you to be an expert trainer, teacher, and expert in marketing or product design or whatever. But here are the rules. Here are the things you're not allowed to do. Here are the things you do. Now, your job is to support Billy Bob and help them understand this. And here are the things that I would want them to do and not do. And just word vomit it out and then give it to them and tell Billy Bob whenever they have a question to ask there first before nagging the founder, and then come back. And when you get to a certain point, build the questions to interact with them. It's just a practical use. I'll go over some other kind of high level ways of getting there. The other piece is AI is going to ooze its way into your business anyway. Okay. Apps like Gorgeous, your customer service app, marketing, inventory management are starting to build AI into them. And when you see it, take advantage of it. The other area is bringing in automation. Like I said, Zapier, N8N, Make, and bring those in. But it's just a general tool, and just ask AI, how can I use it to solve this problem? Whether it's an employee management problem, because no matter what, all problems are people problems, okay? There could be some technology ones, but they all kind of guide into people problems. And then things will evolve, like AI-based demand planning. In today's world, you have to buy the right products that are profitable and not buy products that aren't, and that you really need to leverage tools like that. Tools like data warehouses or dashboards that are going to leverage AI to give you insights into the data, into your business, are key. And really just looking at it. Now, we're getting to the point where there'll be AI agents and other future pieces, but just the starting point is, how can you be a better entrepreneur? How can you optimize your business? Where am I going? How do I support my team? How do I leverage these things? Whenever you have these questions, just ask AI and get it to be smart on them so you can continue to evolve. And then over time, you can move AI into your business, or you can work with people like me or other consultants that'll specifically focus on how to optimize the structure of your business. You're more efficient, you're more profitable, you're saner, you can work under 40 hours a week, and all those other benefits. So that's really my focus around AI and e-commerce.
Very cool. Thanks, Scott. That was great. So, everybody, I think that's it. We have one question for Drew, and leaving the panel open. Any last minute comments from our viewers? Drew, we got one question here, which is, what's the biggest mistake you see sellers make when implementing the keywords that you were talking about?
Yeah, I think so. I think one of the biggest mistakes would be people just going after the highest search terms. Like saying, hey, this term is searched 20,000 times and 50,000 times, and then going after those terms, or making assumptions around how you would describe the product, instead of taking that research around search terms, or your assumptions, and then using PPC to validate it. I think PPC is really it's not just a sales engine, it's validating what keywords you're choosing, and if the customers with those keywords find your products relevant. So a way that I mitigate kind of like just going after the big search terms is I use something that's called like the 5-5-5 rule, which is 5 long tail keywords in a listing, maybe 5 medium search volume keywords, and then 5 of the strong ones. And doing a mix of that when you're starting out, validating with PPC, seeing which ones rank and which ones don't, which ones convert, which ones don't, and then adjusting. So I think it's everybody was saying before, like, set it and forget it. Like, keep optimizing. That's a huge thing. Get a bunch of data and validate it. There's a starting point, and then there's now I have data and I can go check it point. And I think that's really what stops, and people just kind of like move on to the next thing. Maybe they don't like writing, maybe they don't like data analytics, maybe they don't like those aspects of the job, and so they do it, and then they don't want to come back to it. So hopefully that's helpful.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. Okay, I don't see any more comments coming through, so no worries. If anybody wanted to ask any questions, you can reach out to us directly. Find us on LinkedIn. And also, I'll be sending out this recording, and probably all of us will send this recording out if we'd like to our newsletters. So if you wanted to go back and anything that you heard here that you wanted to revisit and learn again, then you can do that. So I'll end the stream here. And once again, Alex, Drew, Scott, Zach, appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate all you listeners. Take care.